All right, welcome to another episode of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. Please hit the subscribe button and please hit the like button. So I just posted the other video a few minutes ago, and I'm going to stay with it and do another one, which I will post. More than likely, this will be the video for Wednesday. Well, it is Wednesday, but in case I don't post anything else, this is it. I got all kinds of stuff to do tomorrow. I got legal work. I've got to go into my house, plumbing issues and foundation structural issues. So got to get that taken care of. And I'm still talking low because the wife might be coming out. And she has to go to work. She's asleep. So anyway, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna stay on the Leavenworth thing, and I'm gonna talk about something that happened in the summer of '99. Okay, as you guys know that are familiar with my videos, sentenced to life without parole. I was sentenced in 1998. I got locked up in 1997. Okay, so there's a couple guys asked about that. So let me get this gum out. So that was the deal. August the 12th, 1997. I didn't see freedom after that, but I went to trial on April Fool's Day. Yes, April Fool's Day. And I got sentenced January the 17th, 1998. Went to Leavenworth September 1998. Okay, and started partying pretty quick. In the summer of 1999, so from May actually of 99 until September, I lived in B lower, second tier, cell 263. That's all the way in the back of the unit on the left-hand side. With a few exceptions, I lived in that cell by myself pretty much the whole summer. In September, a guy by the name of Charles Robinson, aka Rags, moved into my cell. He's from Indiana. Rags was a knucklehead, and but we got along cool. He was temporarily staying at the pad until he got his own place. Well, he asked me if he can put some wine up, and of course, he didn't have money. That was his hustle, so I wasn't going to deny him of that. I usually didn't put wine up in my cell in general population in the shoe all day long. General pop, I didn't, but I let Rags put 10 gallons, I think it was, 10 gallons in his locker. So he stripped the locker out, put 10 gallons in, put a breather in it. So the way you put a breather in it is you put some hoses. I think he was using the shampoo bottle or the baby powder. I forgot what trick he was using at the time. That was to keep the smell down. Anyway, so during this time, from beginning of May, I got strung out on heroin. And of course, I've been talking a lot about my drug use throughout these videos, but what I mean by that is there wasn't a day from May to September that I did not use heroin. And most mornings, I also woke up and I do a half pint or a pint of Shine that I had guys making for me, and I had contracts from different guys. So it was, it was a wild summer. So in September, Rags has got his batch of wine up. I'm sitting in my cell, and a guy comes running to my cell and says, "Rob, Rags just got locked up." I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "He was upstairs out of bounds." Now, typically in Leavenworth, they didn't lock people up for being out of bounds. He was upstairs in B upper, smoking some weed with one of his homeboys, and the cops walked up on him, caught him, whatever, and they gave him an out of bounds shot. Now, when somebody gets locked up, what ends up happening is the cops come to the cell and pack out their property. So when I found out that Rags got locked up, I headed it off. I went straight to the officers, and officer on duty, actually there's two at the time, and I said, "Hey, check it out. Dude got an out of bounds shot. Rags, he's going to be out this week. They're not going to keep him, so just leave his property in there. Don't touch it." I did not want him to get another shot for wine. That's why I went and did that. Okay. A couple days goes by. I'm at a friend's cell or whatever, and I see a cop named Green walking. Green was kind of like bipolar-ish, could be a dick, cool sometimes, a dick the next time, whatever. And he was walking and he was opening cells and smelling. So he's doing a wine check. So sometimes the officers, especially those that have been there a while, they'll stick their head in cells, sniff, try to catch a scent of either wine or some kind of perfume or powder or cologne. Usually the guys have their cell heavily masked. That means they're hiding wine or shine or something. Sure enough, Green goes straight to my cell, smells it, opens up Rag's locker, and boom. Next thing I know, they're calling me lieutenant's office. Now, that was Rag's locker, sure enough. But when he got locked up, I told him not to take his property. So they had that cell as a single cell, so it was my cell. Plus, I was not gonna sit there and say, hey man, this is Rag's cell, he's in the hole. I wouldn't do that. This happened on a Friday night. Remember, I've been doing heroin all summer. I was actually drinking when that was going down, so I was drinking wine, and they came and locked me up. Now, when I went to the lieutenant's office, it was night, and the lieutenant informed me that there was no room in the special housing unit, so I would have to go to the doghouse. Let me explain to you what the doghouse is. The doghouse is a unit that they left in its original state. So Leavenworth Prison has been totally remodeled except for the doghouse. So how the prison was built in the early 1900s, so however it was then is how it remains now for historical purposes. That's why they kept doghouse. That's why they keep it that way, for historical purposes. I believe it's still that way, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's 5 stories tall, bars, bar gates on the outside, and no heating, no air. And what they used the doghouse for during that time was basically a PC block. So you had check-ins, guys that requested protective custody, sex offenders that couldn't be out on the line, victims of fights. So Leavenworth, the way they did it on that yard a lot of times was the victim or the loser of a fight went to doghouse and ended up getting transferred. Winners stayed. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of how they did do it. And actually, a lot of times they were sent to USP Terre Haute from Leavenworth, and Terre Haute was sent to Leavenworth. They used to switch off and on back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So they informed me that I was going to the doghouse. Now, I was not happy. First of all, I was not going for it because of the people that are in doghouse. Again, sex offenders, check-ins, chomos, snitches, whatever. So, but as the lieutenant said, there was no room in the special housing unit. So I hooped and hollered and screamed and cried a little bit, but nevertheless, I ended up in the doghouse on the 5th tier. Now let me tell you something. 5th tier, September. It was no bull over 100 degrees at nighttime. It was so freaking hot. So it's all bricks, cinder blocks and bricks, and that heat stays. And it just, oh my God, doesn't start getting cool till like 4 or 5 in the morning. Anyway, they put me in a cell upstairs by myself. I told the lieutenant that I wasn't going to cell with anybody, and he said, look, we'll have you out of here on Monday. We will have you out of here on Monday and with your people. So, and you know what? I just made a big mistake. It was the summer of 2000, not 1999, because I was running Dirty White Boy at the time. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I just messed that up, messed that time frame up. Anyway, so the lieutenant promised I'd be out Monday. Friday night, I go in there and I was fucked up and I pass out. The next morning, I wake up and immediately I feel, nauseous, dope sick, stomach rumbling, feel terrible. And all of a sudden, here comes breakfast trays. Now, let me back up. There was no heating or air conditioning, I should say, but there was big old fans that were outside on the tier. So it was really, really noisy. You couldn't hear each other talk next door. It was extremely noisy. These fans just making all kinds of noise. It was fucking miserable. So here comes the breakfast trays. And I remember grabbing the milk. I opened the milk and I went, and I got all the way to the end and I realized it was curdled and rotten, spoiled milk. And as soon as I went down, I rushed to the toilet and I fucking puked everywhere. I mean, I puked and I puked and I puked. And then after I was done, I just fell to the floor. I mean, I just laid in front of the toilet. These cells are nasty. There are roaches, mice. They had flying cockroaches. It was horrible. And I sat there, threw up a couple more times, and I was laying on the concrete, starting to feel that dope sick, really tough. Threw up because of the curdled milk. And I'm looking, and there's a little mouse that runs around the corner of the cell. And he looks, and he comes up around the toilet. He sees me, and man, I wanted to kill that son of a bitch. And I just couldn't move at all. I just looking at him, and I just wishing death upon him. The next thing I remember is I hear shower, shower, shower. Well, it was our tier shower day or shower call. I think they did it every other day in the dog. I don't know. I didn't spend much time there. But anyway, it was shower call for my range, 5th tier. I was at the end of the tier. And I'll never forget, it took about an hour or two. And all of a sudden, here comes this female CO. I think they used to call her big, where I wasn't sure. She was a big girl, had a big nose, looked like a Viking broad, good breeding stock. But anyway, big girl. So she asked me if I'm going to take a shower, and I said yeah. And I said, listen, I need you to get the lieutenant. She's like, why? And I said, because I can't stay in here. I got to be in the shoe. She's like, look, okay, I'll tell him. Do you want to take a shower or not? I'm like, yeah. Okay, so she comes back, tells me to cuff up. You gotta cuff up to the bars. Just in my underwear. I've got no towel, no soap, no shower shoes. I don't have shit. Walk down the range barefooted in a pair of boxers. And as soon as the showers are on the corners of the tier, and they've put cages on them. So what they do is they have a gate, and they just open the gate and they lock in. So I remember her walking, she's holding the back of my handcuffs, and I'm telling her that I gotta go, I can't be in the doghouse, I don't belong with all these check-ins and blah, 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 blah. And I was running my mouth, and she just wasn't paying any attention. And as soon as she stopped at the front of the shower and opened the gate, so there's like a, let's just say like a curb, like this big, you have to step over to step into the shower. Man, I lifted my leg up, and as soon as I went like this, I shit everywhere from being sick. I mean, just, and okay, so I only have my boxers on now, and she didn't realize it was me, and she's got to uncuff me from the back, so she's going to. And I remember her going, oh God, she smelled it. And as soon as she did, she said, those fucking Cubans. So I have to say this, and man, I don't even know why I stepped into that. So some of the Cubans that were there during there was Cubans at the time that were still stuck there that were, they were done with their time, but they were in for extradition, but Cuba didn't want them. The United States wouldn't let them out. Now, I don't know how long they actually stayed, but there was a few of them left behind. But a lot of them were, had mental illnesses, and they were known to masturbate with their feces. That's the truth. And please, I think there's lots of records about this. So this isn't. Man, I hope I don't get tagged. I'm just saying what happened, what was talked about at Leavenworth. So she said those Cubans, because there was Cubans around the corner. So they had done this to her before. So I step in the shower and I'm trying to, so I know my boxers are all dirty. Got shit running down my leg. And, so I step in and she shuts the gate and I had to back up to the thing. And then she realized, she's like, oh, you nasty motherfucker. Man, I felt like this big, but at the same time, I was so sick. And then the vomiting started again. And this is really from just, now, let me tell you guys that have done heroin before, because there's a lot of guys on this channel. When you have a prison habit, if you don't know, it's not the same as the street. I've never done heroin on the street or used a needle on the street. Never. Never done opiates like that. Never on the street. So, you're doing little papers, but still you pick up, a habit, you get sick, So I just wanted to make that clear. Somebody brought something up before about that. Anyway, so I go in the shower. She asked if I wanted a razor, and at this point I started scheming. Now, when they give you razors in the shoe, and I knew that if she gave me a razor, she was going to come back around for it, and I had to give it to her before I'd cuff up and she'd bring me back. So right then and there, I made a decision that I'm going to hold my razor until this bitch goes and gets a lieutenant, so this lieutenant can take me to the shoe where I belong with my bros. There was a bunch over there. I know they had dope over there. I know that they probably had wine. I was almost certain they usually always did, but for sure there was. I needed to go over there and get. That's the truth. But that's where I was at. And I knew somebody that just went over there with a bunch of dope. So I had just tunnel vision. Got to get there. Got to get there. She gave me the razor, and after she tried to come around and collect, I said, check it out. Here's the deal. I'm not giving up the razor until you go get a lieutenant. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not staying here tonight. She's like, listen, give me the razor and we'll work it out. I said no. She tells me to fuck off, and she burns off. She comes back around a little while later and says, you're gonna give me the razor? I said no. She goes, listen, fucking asshole. I talked to the lieutenant, and they said that they told you last night there's no room in the shoe, and you're not going to go to the shoe until Monday. Now give me the fucking razor. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. And she's like, I said, fuck you, cunt. She's like, you wish you had this cunt. Those were the words that were exchanged. And she says, I'm going to give you one more chance. If you don't give up that razor, I'm going to keep you in this fucking shower all night long. Now this wasn't even the noon meal yet. I didn't give her the razor. Let me tell you something. They cut the water off. I had the shits. I didn't have, this is concrete showers. I had nowhere to sit. The water had been running and then they cut it off. I had a hole in the ground where there's a drain where I had diarrhea because of dope sickness. And they kept me there. Now, I was sure at 4 o'clock when they did shift change that when they came and counted, they'd say, oh, okay. Do you know that they counted, they stopped, and then they went back around, so they never even had to look at me? Man, I ain't bull. These people, and you got to understand, this isn't just this broad. They had to conspire to do this, so she had to get with her, number one. So this was on a Saturday. I stayed there all night. I stayed, and man, let me tell you, I had to lay on the concrete floor. I was tired, exhausted. It's damp, moldy. There's all those bugs, like I said. It's horrific. The noise, the steam. It was so miserable, and I had scrapes all over my shoulders because I was laying on the concrete and turning. My knees were all skinned up. I mean, I was beat the fuck up. And man, I wanted a cop. He says, I wanted so bad for them to bring me back to that cell, but they did not. So the lieutenant ends up coming. They kept me in there. I'm sorry. They kept me in there till Monday. Now, let me tell you something. So the lieutenant comes to the thing, and I'm just beat down. And he said, Rosso, come here. And I get up off the floor, and he said, this didn't happen, did it? And I look at him, and I'm like, no. He's like, it didn't happen, did it? because they committed so many violations. They can't do that. Can't leave a motherfucker in the shower. They did. And all I said was, no, it didn't happen. He goes, all right. He goes, tell you what, this didn't happen. We're going to bring you to the shoe right now. Man, put the water on because I smelled like shit because I'd been, like I said, it was just horrific. They left me with the dirty ass the whole time, and put the water on, let me clean up, came and got me and brought me to the shoe. And man, when I went to that shoe, there was wine and there was dope, and I was happy. That's the story about being dope sick in the doghouse. And I'm gonna tell you, don't ever try. The real gangsters are correctional officers. Always remember that. It's not dirty white boys or any brotherhoods or Crips it's the Federal Bureau of Prison Correctional Officers. Those are gang members, organized gang members. Take care.